I did not want to hear that no one will feel less of you if you quit. I refuse to hear that you've really done well. I refuse to hear that carrying on could cause you more injury. That 99% of you can't even do a set of 12 without getting distracted. You can't run 100 meters on a treadmill without getting distracted. Most people's brains, because they can't focus on one thing, is like having a 38-piece orchestra all playing a different fucking tune and nobody's conducting it. Whereas the reality is, most people's brains are like a fucking fireworks show. It's firing off, the neurons are going in all different directions. It's chaotic, other people's opinions, work, the past, trauma. No, I can't do that. It doesn't align with my goals. It doesn't align with the future that I want. And I'm too busy working on my future to keep saying yes. Yes, guys, and welcome back to Reprogram Your Mind podcast, episode 7. So you will never get bored of me saying this, but as always, I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for valuing yourself high enough to be here, because it shows you're committed to personal growth and improvement, and also for giving me your time, which is your most valuable commodity. And also a massive thanks to everyone that's viewed the previous 6 issues. The podcast is going really well, getting lots of views, lots of positive reports, and lots of people coming into the Mindset Mastery community, which is amazing. So from me to you, thank you. Now, I start with mentioning episode 6 also, because I really want you to go back and watch it if you haven't already. Today's training is going to be called The Power of Neuroplasticity, Rewiring and Reprogramming Your Brain for Success. But it also leads on from last week's training when we were talking about the power of focus. So this is essentially, whilst it's not named that, it is kind of part 2 of last week's training, because we got to nearly 60 minutes last week and I'd nowhere near finished the training. So I'll try not to go off on too many tangents today. So there's a phrase now that I literally want you to write down, tattoo on the backs of your eyelids, write it out like lines when you've been naughty at school, put it on post-it notes, place it around your life, because this is a phrase that will essentially change your life. And if you want to succeed, and if you want to achieve amazing things, you're going to have to get pretty comfortable with saying this pretty quickly. No, I can't do that. It doesn't align with my goals. It doesn't align with the future that I want. And I'm too busy working on my future to keep saying yes. That's it, pure and simple. So you will have wasted in the past days, hours, weeks, months of your precious time on things that don't align with your goals, they don't align with your values, they don't align with your future, all because you're a born people pleaser and you didn't have the balls to say no. This is really natural as well, by the way, so don't beat yourself up, because humans come from a tribe mentality, and we have this feeling that if we don't fit in with the tribe, then we'll be excluded and we won't be loved. So it's normal to try and fit in and be loved, but not to the level where it affects your life. You know, when we're going with the flow, I've said many times, there's only one thing that should be going with the flow, and that's dead fish. And I don't think anyone watching this wants to be a dead fish. So make sure that your actions and your time align with your future and what you want, and don't be afraid to say no, because every time you say yes to something that doesn't align, you're saying no to your dreams, your goals, and your future. So when you start to do this repetitively, when you practice it, it's a skill. Saying no is a real skill, and there's 2 angles you need to bring into it. One, you need to tell people no, but you need to tell them why it's a no, because otherwise they might just think, well, he doesn't like me, he doesn't want to spend time with me. So I didn't just say, no, I'm not doing that, Dave. No, I'm not doing that, Dave, because I'm already oversubscribed in August. And to be quite honest with you, going to Creamfields and getting off my fucking face for 2 days doesn't align with the business and body goals that I set out at the end of this year. But I massively appreciate you thinking of me. See how different that is to no. just a no. And again, you'll notice this in life as well. When you explain to people why you're doing things, not that you're just doing things, again, it's hit with less resistance. So I had a point in my life where, we have over 120 current clients that we manage, and personal access to me had become far too accessible. And any coach watching this will know this as well. I was getting hammered with messages 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And I kind of used to pride myself on this. I provide support 24/7. Now, it got to a point where it was just impossible to manage. Now, my clients that are on my body transformation plan now have very clear boundaries. So their check-in link arrives on a Friday. There's no contact on Saturday and Sunday whatsoever. And then my personal WhatsApp for check-in, supports, replies and everything is open from 9 a.m. on a Monday until midday on a Wednesday. That's it. And I told them very firmly, outside of that, unless it's an emergency, do not contact me. It's not fair, because those other periods are when I'm working on my business, not in my business. And in order to be able to provide content for you guys like this, and update training plans and nutrition plans and plan events like we're doing in the Lake District, I can't be locked in WhatsApp going back and forth to people. And quite frankly, as all, without being rude, when I'm sat chilling with my son at 8 p.m. on a Thursday night, I don't want people messaging me. I want to be present with him, and you should be the same with your kids. And again, sometimes then this fear that you're going to meet resistance. What if my clients leave? What if that's the only reason they're with me? What if they're going to react negatively to it? The same emotions that you'll have with your friends and family when you want to say no or put boundaries in place. But again, it's explaining the reason why I'm doing it. And you have to be clear and you have to be concise. So again, within a couple of weeks, any clients watching this will be like, oh God, no, that's me. People were at the weekend, on a Thursday, on a Friday. I don't expect to reply at a weekend, but I'm just sending this message now whilst it's on my mind. Well, that's okay, one person sending one message. That's not okay when it's the person on the other end receiving 80 messages from 80 clients at a weekend who are just sending that one message now because it's on their mind and they don't expect to reply. I'm going to still go back to 80 messages on my phone on a Sunday morning. So again, I had to explain to my clients, some of them who will be watching this, why that process needs to be in place. And every single one of them said, you know what, I get it. That's totally cool. You've got 3 days to have me back and forth whenever you need me. The other 4 days, they're out of bounds. So when you're learning to say no and becoming a master of saying no and not people pleasing, just explain calmly the reason why you want to do it. When people are told that change is happening or that something's a no, but you don't understand why, one, they'll tend to make up their own reasons why. They won't understand it, and that's why then they react negatively. So make sure you take that on board. But when you learn to repetitively say no, when you learn to repetitively only focus on your dreams, your goals and your aspirations, where you're going, your values, your future, the prefrontal cortex of your brain, which is essentially the CEO of your brain, will start to take control and only focus on that. The more you train it, it'll just say no without even thinking about it, because it'll know that it doesn't align. I don't have. Someone asked me if I want to go and get off my tits at a festival now. I don't have to consider it. I don't consider their feelings and how they're going to feel, even if they've bought me a ticket. And to be honest with you, people have done that in the past. Oh mate, but I've already bought you a ticket. Well, I don't care. You should have asked me first, dickhead. It's a stupid thing to do, wasn't it? When you know damn well that that's not what I do anymore. This is what even some of your best friends and family will try and do. They'll try and lead you back down the road of despair that they're still stuck on and haven't found the strength to leave yet. So don't be afraid to make the right decisions for you. Again, I say no now without even thinking about it. And the right people will respect my decisions and the other people don't matter. Just like I've discussed with just being yourself. When you're truly yourself, the right people will love you, and the other people, they don't matter. Stop worrying about them. Other people's opinions are none of your business. So when this prefrontal cortex, which is the CEO of the brain, starts to take control and do it subconsciously, that's when it becomes easier. Okay, and there's also the RAS, which is the reticular activating system of the brain, where again, when we're focused on what we want, if you said right now, bottle of water, bottle of water, bottle of water, bottle of water, you're going to struggle not to think about a bottle of water. Same as if you decide you want a black Land Rover Defender and you keep thinking about it all the time and you're seeing the adverts and then you've clicked on the algorithm and then Instagram keeps showing you them, and then you go on Facebook and there it is again, and then you pull into the car park and there it is again. You drive down the motorway, there they are, every 3 cars. Why has every parent at school got this car that I want? Like, you're only noticing it because it's on your brain. It's exactly the same for your goals, your dreams and your visions. But learn to focus on what you want and forget what you don't want. And when you start to do that subconsciously, that's when things go to the next level, because that's when you stop being hijacked by your emotions. Like, if anybody in the world asks me whether I want to do something, I consider my answer, is it a yes or a no? I have a filter, and if it's no, my emotions don't hijack me as to whether I say yes or no or not. I don't think, oh God, but is Dave going to be upset that he's invited me to the rugby and I don't want to go on that day because I know that everyone's going to get drunk? It doesn't consider that. Not because I'm an arsehole, just because I've trained my brain to understand whether things align with my future or not. And if they don't, it's a simple no with an explanation as to why. When you do this and get good at it, it's the most liberating thing in the world, because you'll then become the master of directing your energy and your thoughts towards what really matters, which is your dreams, your vision, your future, and your goals. So why is this training based around neuroplasticity? Do you even know what neuroplasticity is now? Until Dr. Joe Dispenza came into my life a few years ago, I didn't know what it is. I didn't really know what neurons were. I certainly hadn't heard the phrase neurons that fire together, wire together, and I didn't know what they were or what neuroplasticity is. So this is when, and you guys won't even realize it, or like, we have 80 billion neurons in the brain that are all connected to other neurons as well. So when these start firing in harmony, just towards what we want, just towards our future, just towards what we're in alignment with, this is called coherence, brain coherence. And the only way I can describe it is it's like having a radio station tuned in to every single perfect tune in your life. Goals, values, vision, purpose, mission, and it's so tuned in, you can't tune it out even if you try. That's all it focuses on. Whereas the reality is, most people's brains are like a fucking fireworks show. It's firing off, the neurons are going in all different directions. It's chaotic, other people's opinions, work, the past, trauma, other people's opinions, and everything else in between. So the fact that it can't even see the values or the goals or the vision, because like it said, imagine like firing 20 fireworks into the air. Can you clearly see any of them fireworks? Of course you can't. It's just a shit show of sparks and bangs, and you're actually going to want to get away from it. Whereas what if it's just one rocket, perfectly white, knows where it's going, aiming for the destination. That's what coherence is. That's what neuroscientists call it. For complete clarity, I'm not a neuroscientist. This is what I've learned. So it's how I ran 200 consecutive miles without stopping. Like, so many people have said, how did you do that? Like, that's next level stuff. And I went through the mission and the planning and the purpose and all of those things. And part of the appeal was that I like doing things that other people can't do because it makes me feel strong. It builds my resilience. I think it's something around 73% of people who try it fail. So I wanted to be in the top 27%, which I was. But I tuned in to the result. Like, many of you who have followed me for a long time will have seen the last 300 yards of the run when you couldn't have scripted it. It wasn't planned. Of course, there was a video team and news teams there, but Logan just saw me and ran out to me, and I picked him up and he ran over the finish line with me. Now, I'd seen that 1,000 times already. I'd already visualized it. I'd visualized how it was going to feel if I'd have pussied out with the injury at 170 miles. How was it going to feel to miss out on that opportunity? And I kept saying to myself, if you want the glory, you have to do the grind. I don't care how injured you are, Lee. Like, if you want that moment that you've seen 1,000 times, you're going to have to get through this, because you have two options now. You dip out and you say, I'm injured, and you listen to the doctors and you listen to everyone else who's telling you that no one's going to think less of you. And you will never have that moment that you've already visualized, that magical moment. And people will probably, I think a lot of people thought I was rude in the last 30 miles, but I had to just turn them out. I did not want to hear that no one will feel less of you if you quit. I refuse to hear that you've really done well. I refuse to hear that carrying on could cause you more injury. Turned it down, tuned it out, and I tuned back in to that moment. So my neurons started firing to that moment, to that moment, to that moment. Right, let's go. And this is what neuroplasticity is. It is reprogramming the brain, because I just turned the series. There was a lot of interference. Fucking hell, do you know how much interference there was on my radio station in 72 hours of not sleeping? There was a lot. Self-doubt, hunger, fear, injury, letting people down. Alfie, who I did it for's, got leukemia, had only walked for the first time on the first morning of the run, which was one of the most powerful things I've ever seen. His dad sent me a video of him getting up and walking with a cord on. You know, and the thought of going and telling a 3-year-old with leukemia and Down syndrome, I quit because my neck hurt. I quit because I got injured. I'm really sorry, Alfie, I didn't manage to do the run. Like, I visualized these things. How's that going to feel? Versus seeing his dad and his mum at the finish line as I did. Like, which one do I want to tune into? Like, fuck off that one, tune it out. This is what coherence is, and then it's tuning back in. Like, and you can do, it doesn't have to be running 200 miles. You can do this in life. You can tune into your positive friends that want to see you win, and your future and your aspirations and your goals and your dreams, and you can turn that other shit off. Or you can allow the interference all the time, or downside, you can tune into the negatives. And that's a one-way road to depression and despair. So you have to keep doing this every day. Think about, like, going off on some random tangent examples now, but think of like a car driving. What do you have to do? You have to keep adjusting the steering wheel. It doesn't just go in one direction and keep going. You have to turn it, you have to recalibrate, you have to take bends, you have to slow down, you have to speed up. The mind's exactly the same. Like, you have to do that with it. And it's a little bit different now with DAB digital radio, isn't it? But anyone who's as old as me will remember the old radios where you were tuning it into Radio 1 to get the top 40 on a Sunday night, and then it would go out of tune a little bit, and then you'd have to tune it back in, the ones with the dials on. So again, your brain's the same. Like, my brain was tuned starting that. Like, the deep psychological stuff that I did before starting the first mile, I was so tuned in. But even by 13 miles, my brain was starting to go, 187 miles to go. My leg's hurting, my Achilles hurting. No, it's not, that's your brain, tune back out. So every day, distraction will try and get you to tune out. Your partner will try and get you to tune out. Your parents, your friends, the world, the media, everyone will try and distort your radio station. And you have to tune it back in. Because a truly focused person isn't just different. Oh, look at him, he's super focused. He's different at a neurological level. Like, so do you want to listen to the perfectly in tune radio? Or do you want to listen to distortion and interference? You have to train yourself to do that. So this is the same as training in the gym. Like, observe this yourself now, and also observe this in others. Right now, I'm going to put into this podcast that 99% of you can't even do a set of 12 without getting distracted. You can't run 100 meters on a treadmill without getting distracted. You're that unfocused on what you're doing, sometimes you force distraction via TV, via headphones. And like I said, there's 80 billion neurons firing, and they're all connected to thousands of other things. And when you're distracted, all of these are chaotic, whether it's in life or in training. There's a lot of very similar analogies between mindset, life, training, and business. They're all pretty much similar. But if I'm trying to focus on building a chest, how am I going to do that by focusing on Karen's arse in the nice hot pants over there? If I'm trying to focus on building my biceps and contracting the bicep with every single neuron in my head because mind muscle contraction is massive, how can I do that if I get distracted every time a guy with nice arms walks past? I'm trying to be PC there, using a male and a female example. You know, picking my phone up, scrolling Instagram between sets. You can't be focused on training your chest for 45 minutes if you're scrolling Instagram between sets, replying to WhatsApp messages. 99% of you doing this are watching now, and you're laughing. And you're wondering why you don't have the glutes or the chest or the arms that you want. Because you're distracted when you're training. Get every neuron firing on every fibre of my chest for that entire session. I can scroll when I get in the car. Can look at Karen's bum on the way out. I'm only joking. Or, you know, I can reply to the WhatsApp messages. I don't want my brain to be focused on that when I'm training. When I'm training, I'm training. Like, imagine if I had my phone here now when I were doing this podcast. Like, I'd be distracted all the time and I wouldn't be able to get in flow and I wouldn't deliver a decent podcast. So you have to work on this because you should just be focused on what you're doing. Like mind muscle connection in that area is massive. Some people might say, oh, that's woo woo. But how do you think your chest knows to pick the weight up and bench press it in the first place? The muscle's just a lump of tissue. It doesn't have a brain. There's people that say, oh, I do this because it shocks my muscle into doing this. No, it doesn't. You can't shock a muscle. It doesn't have emotions. It's a lump of tissue, like a chicken breast, that's controlled by a neuron from the brain. So if we can focus the brain on the muscle, is it going to contract more powerful? Is it going to contract harder? Is it going to contract better if you're focusing on contracting your chest versus looking at other people in the gym, wondering whether they're watching you, wondering what their opinions are, replaying a conversation that happened at work earlier? Mental focus is fucking everything. Get those neurons all firing towards the task that you want, whether it's in the gym or out. And this is when you become unstoppable, right? Think of when you see, I'm a massive fan of her, so I always use her as an example, but like Jess Ennis, right? That final incredible run when she just found that from nowhere and got quicker and quicker and quicker when she won gold in the final event. Was she tuned into the crowd? Was she tuned into the time? Was she tuned into whether anyone was watching her? Was she even tuned into the other runners? Look at her face. She wasn't tuned into anything. You know, good snooker players, good golfers, anyone in sport, they're not tuned into the crowd. They're not playing for the crowd, even if they're seen as a crowd pleaser. They're tuned into what they're doing. Top footballers won't really be aware of that any fans are there until they score because they're tuned into the game. And I wrote down a great analogy for this. And that's, you know, them top sports people competing, tuning out to the crowd is just exactly the same. They're tuning out to emotion. And it's like an orchestra all playing the same song with the same conductor, perfectly in cue, and making absolutely beautiful music. That's what brain coherence should feel like. Most people's brains, because they can't focus on one thing, is like having a 38-piece orchestra all playing a different fucking tune and nobody's conducting it. Chaotic, messy, horrible, loud, distracting. So we have to get tuned into the right thing, because you have to think one of those is going to sound amazing and one of them isn't. And I want to touch on motivation again, because you never lose motivation. I'm so tired of hearing people say this. I just lost motivation. You didn't. You got distracted. You either didn't have motivation or you didn't need it. I didn't need motivation. You could say that Alfie was my motivation to do that run. He was part of it, and he was part of the reason why I got up and did all the dark training runs, as was Logan, my own son. But think about it. Was he there? No. Was anybody there? No. Did it give me motivation or did it give me meaning? Two very different fucking things. Motivation, you might think, is some face-to-face PT barking in your face telling you to do 3 more reps. Some people would see motivation of, oh, I got that fat that I had to get motivated to lose weight. Negative motivation. People would say, oh my God, like I'm literally about to lose my house, so I need to work harder. Motivation. Some people would see positive motivation of, oh my God, if I look like that, I'm going to feel amazing. They all have their part, as we've talked about in previous weeks, internal and external motivation. There's a full training on this within Mindset Mastery on the difference between the two things, because you can't have the external without having the internal first. If you have chaos in your head, you'll always have chaos in your life. So we need meaning. That Alfie was meaning and purpose and mission. Logan was meaning, purpose and mission. They weren't motivation. And they were strong enough that I didn't get distracted. The vision of the finish was strong enough that I didn't even get distracted by injury. About 60 milligrams of codeine might have helped as well. But you get what I'm saying, right? The meaning and the purpose was stronger than the desire to quit. And that's why you win. And that comes from programming the brain to be completely focused on what you want and believing that you're going to achieve it, which is essentially rewiring it to believe that, and having neurons that fire together and wire together, so it's hardwired in. Just like right now you might be hardwired into negativity, because that's the way, if you've been thinking depressing thoughts for the last 12 months, well, you've pretty much been hardwiring a depressing mind. So it thinks that way without even trying. It works the same the other way. So when you're walking away from this podcast today and you're writing down your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, your dream income, your dream house, your dream man, woman, or significant other, your dream life for your kids, your dream holiday destination, your dream car, your dream whatever, and you're writing all of that down and you're like, right, that's what I want. I'm going to focus on that every day as soon as I get out of bed. Okay, and then I'm going to create a plan to do that, but I'm never going to lose sight of looking at that. And I need to learn to show up as the person that's already got that, because I can see it on such a level I believe it's mine. I've used this example before when I talk about neuroplasticity. Like if you order a bottle of water from Amazon, you don't sit there going, oh, wonder whether Amazon's going to deliver that water or not. You know it's coming. So order the shit that you want: the car, the dream, the man, the woman, the income, the house, the life, the holiday destination, the peace. Whatever it is you want, order it. Then make a plan to get it. Then show up and act every day like the person who already has it. And eventually that will be yours. But that comes from all the coherence, all the neurons, all firing towards that one direction until they're wired together. Like, you will all know people in your life that are just so happy, driven and focused all the time. People think I'm like that. I'm actually not. There's many days when I struggle just like you do. But then I go back to, right, I need to rewire my brain. I need to program it. It's got distorted again. I've got distracted. It's out of tune. Why am I thinking about, oh God, I'm stressed. Maybe I just need a blowout. Yeah, because the amount of times I've had a blowout and then I came back on Monday morning thinking, I'm so fucking glad I did that. I feel amazing. Let's get fired up for work. It doesn't. It's just distraction. Things get tough. You get distraction. You avoid hard and go to easy. So you have to keep firing it towards the right place. And coherence is pure power. Alignment is pure power. Values is pure power. And neurons that fire together, wire together. And that's how we reprogram the mind. But you have to do it every day, because some of you will watch this and you'll start to do it and you're, oh, Lee, I did that stuff for 7 days and I'm still fat and I'm still reactive and I'm still unhappy and I still don't have the life that I want. Good. Of course you don't. You've done it for 7 days. You might have rewired your mind or wired your mind, to show up and act the way it does for the last 10, 20, 30 years, going right back to childhood trauma, right through to today. It takes time, but it's doable. And I guarantee you in 30 days, you will see massive change. That's why we do 1 video per day within Mindset Mastery for the first 30 days. People get to the end of 30 days and they're like, oh my God, Ricky Knowles, one of my clients, sent me a message yesterday saying, I just can't believe it. Like, I'm 1,000 times better mentally and more positive than I was 30 days ago. It did exactly what you said it would. Of course it does, because my highest value is integrity. I do exactly what I say I do. So of course my plan's going to do what I say it would, or I wouldn't do it. So this level of programming leads to a calm life, because when we're focused, we're calm. When you're unfocused, you're chaotic. How are you feeling, right, when you're lost in a car, you don't know where you're going, and there's traffic everywhere? That's happened to me multiple times in Greece. Chaotic, stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, angry. When you're completely focused and you know exactly where you're going, and you've got the roadmap, and you've been there 100 times, you know exactly how to get there, you know exactly how long it's going to take, and you know exactly what potential challenges you're going to face. Completely calm. So this also comes down to some scientific brain stuff. This isn't woo-woo. So when you're chaotic, when you're stressed, when you're anxious, you are operating in what's called a beta wave, beta brain wave. It's the same as fight and flight and survival. And you're vibrating at a frequency of low energy. This is when you start to say things like, quote unquote, hands up virtually if you've said this. I've said it many times. I just feel all over the shop. I can't focus. My head's, the amount of people saying, my head's just all over the shop, mate. I thought I'd sorted it out, but my head's all over. Well, of course it is, because you're operating from beta. So when you achieve deep focus, and this is why meditation is so important, you know, I'm massive on this within Mindset Mastery. Everyone's got meditations to do, and we'll be doing an in-person meditation along with the Tai Chi and the breath work and the cold water stuff when we do the event at Coniston Water, because it's so important, because again, it brings people into present. It brings them into focus, and then they start to produce alpha waves, not beta waves. So alpha waves are calm, relaxed, aware, present, collective, focused, just like runners are. Just like when you can see people, oh my God, he was just totally in the zone, wasn't he? Because he's totally focused on what he's doing. There's not room for anything else. And what we're doing here is we're actually slowing the brain down for deeper focus. The body might be running at 100 miles an hour, but we're slowing the brain down. And when you get this right, there's lots of learnings on this within Mindset Mastery. It's the most powerful, magical thing in the world, because you're basically blocking out everything that's negative and shit. People, places, emotions, feelings, the whole things. And meditation is a big part of this. Like, anyone watching, I've got multiple meditations I can send you guys, so feel free to message me. So this process isn't just about constantly having better thoughts, because that's a little bit like manifestation and the law of attraction, which is going to be podcast episode 9. 8. 9 or 8, we'll decide at the end of this podcast. But it's about reprogramming your mind on such a level that it's like you've reprogrammed a computer to become 10 times more powerful. It's not just a fleeting thought. It's an operating system. It's building a more powerful operating system. And if you've watched episode 1 to 6, great. If you haven't, go back and watch every one. And when you have, come back to this one, to this point, whatever time it is, however many minutes in, and you'll realize exactly why I've said all the stuff I had previously. Because it's not just your thoughts. It's completely training your brain, because your thoughts create your focus, and your focus creates your feelings. Your thoughts create your beliefs create how you behave, show up in the world, and your behavior will essentially, whether it's thinking behavior or movement behavior or action taking behavior, will lead to the life that you live. But you know, feelings and thoughts, it's the centers of the body or the brain. So thoughts are the center of the brain, feelings are the center of the body. And we need the brain and the body, or the heart and the head, to both buy in to what we're doing. And again, that's what leads to having total coherence. It's very hard for the brain to buy into a goal that's not in the heart. And it's very hard for the heart to buy into a goal that's not in the brain. I've tried both and neither of them worked. I have to want it in my heart, and I have to believe I can achieve it in my brain. So when the heart and the head both buy in, this is when we think differently. As I said, it's reprogram. It's not just thinking differently. It's not just having better thoughts. Because when we think differently, we believe differently. When we believe differently, we behave differently. When we behave differently, we become different, and we become the new version of ourselves, the one that aligns with our goals, so we can show up as the person we need to be to get the results that we want. It's not about what plan do we need. It's about who we need to become. So when you can learn to communicate with your brain and send these signals that you're telling yourself that you're focused, you're calm, you're unstoppable, and that you're driven and working towards only what you want to achieve. As I said, with the prefrontal cortex being the CEO of the brain and also looking at the reticular activating system, when this becomes automatic, it's the most powerful thing in the world. And one of the best things about doing this and reprogramming your mind is that, when you, as I said, we create new thoughts that lead to new beliefs, that lead to new behaviors and create a new life. The best thing about it and why it's so easy is, and I urge you guys to have some fun with this, is the brain can't distinguish between your current experience of life and what you are intensely focusing on or visualizing. So I've done meditations, like it will be amazing. I'm going to timestamp this in this podcast now, right? So I've done meditations, and this hasn't happened yet in life, where I was that deep in the meditation, like I can visualize a water bungalow in the Maldives, and I can see Nat at the top of the water bungalow, because there's no way she'll be getting in that sea with the sharks and stingrays, and I can visualize a slide and Logan coming down to it, and I'm in the water and we're laughing and having fun, and it's the most perfect experience. I could see it then when I closed my eyes. That hasn't happened yet, but I would bet anyone watching this £1 million that will happen. That moment will happen. I've seen it, I've felt it, and I've visualized it, just like I had the 200-mile moment. So this is the true art of manifestation, which we're going to come on to on podcast 8. I have got the numbers right. Podcast 9 is going to be the warrior versus the victim. Massive session, that. But this is the true art of manifestation, which I'll go into next week, because visualization is the most powerful thing in the world. And your brain doesn't know whether it's real or not when you do it properly. When it thinks it's real, you'll start to behave like it's real. So, as I said, that's when we then become like, if you already had your dream life, how would you be showing up today? If you already had your dream body, how would you be walking? If you were already married to your dream partner, you might be, but how would your happiness be? If you had all the money that you'd ever desired, how would you be showing up today? You'd be showing up with the person who's got the money, the body, the life, the holidays, the car, the house, and everything. And if you show up as that person, you are becoming the person you need to be to receive it before you get it. And that's when the universe will work in your favor. I'm not going down that rabbit hole because that's another training. But your brain will believe it and you will act like it's happening now. And this is why it's so important, and it's such a powerful aspect of reprogramming your brain. Because you will believe, and then you will become, and then you will achieve. That's not the way around that you normally hear it. So we're believing it, and then we're becoming the person before we've received or achieved anything. So we're then in a position to receive it. And there's an incredible story here that I want to share before I wrap this one up. I've probably gone on too long again, but this is the best story I've ever heard with focused visualization. So I don't need to explain to any of you who Walt Disney is. So there's a very famous story that a mentor of mine told me, who's obviously connected to some of them, and they were at an event, and something, obviously, Walt Disney's sadly no longer with us, but there were some family members, and they were all at an event, and there's something just new had happened with Disneyland and just opened, and someone at the party turned around and they said, "Man, if only Walt was here to see this." And the other person said, "Oh, he saw it. He saw it, and that's exactly why it's here." So the point of the story is, everything that's within Disneyland was already created before him. before he left this world. He'd already seen it, he'd already dreamed it, he'd already brought it into reality. And you can do the same in your life, because, and this is what neuroplasticity is. So you're not just visualizing, you're programming your nervous system and your neurological system for success. And that's what neuroplasticity is. And it's the most fascinating thing that I've ever discovered. But I need you to understand that your mind isn't just the way it is. Situations and circumstances in life that cannot be changed, i.e. the past, or something current that you can't change, that is what it is. You can't change it. Oh, my brain's is just this way, it is what it is. No, it's not. Bullshit. That's an excuse you say to keep yourself safe. My body, my hormones, the menopause, my thyroid, anything else is just the way it is. Nothing I can do about it. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. That's a lie you tell yourself to keep yourself stuck. It isn't just the way it is. Your mind is the way it's been programmed. You are the way you've been programmed. So if you've been programmed to be that way, you can be unprogrammed and programmed to be a new way, which is exactly what I teach in Mindset Mastery. But your brain is constantly rewiring itself every single day based on the inputs that it received. So guess what? If you're hanging around with negative fucking losers who eat McDonald's and smoke weed and moan, blame, complain and justify, and are generally just from Loserville, that's what your brain's being programmed with. If you're watching the news every day, your brain's being programmed with fear. Of course I agree with a lot of it, some of it I don't, but the huge subject at the moment is all around immigration, isn't it? So if you're watching the stories that are saying that England's going to be taken over and it'll never be the same, and immigration this and so you're watching fear, you're programming fear, and then fuck me sideways, you're wondering why you feel afraid. How does anything that's written in the Daily fucking Mail align with your goals? How does anything that's on the news at fucking 10 align with any of your goals? You can see I'm getting passionate about this because I'm starting to get ranty and loud and drop lots of F-bombs. It doesn't. You're programming your brain with fucking bullshit. You're hanging around with bullshit people, with bullshit opinions that are none of your business. And then you're wondering why you have a fearful bullshit life. Because you programmed it that way. Come and live in our house for a week and we'll program your mind, and then we'll see how you feel after 7 days. In fact, you can actually do that in Mindset Mastery. Come and be around my community. Come to the event in the Lake District on the 13th of September. See how your brain starts to change. It isn't just the way it is. Every time you're around something, listening to something, watching something, thinking about something, focusing on something, you are strengthening those neural pathways. So you're either focusing on your goals, your vision, your future, your passion, your mission, your desire, your purpose, and you're strengthening the neural pathways. You're building a strong road that leads towards all of that, and you're breaking all the old ones that don't lead there, or you're getting distracted and you're weakening all of that and you're going back on the road to Loserville. That's what happens when you get distracted. You have so much power when you learn to focus properly. You just don't believe it. And I promise you, you can literally sculpt and program your brain to achieve anything you want. You can become anything you want. My granddad told me that. You know this, I've said it so many times. It's in my book. My book that I've already seen on the shelves, that I'm now 27 chapters deep into. Again, we'll look back on this podcast, episode 7. Oh my God, Lee said he was going to release that book that's not even named yet. And he will, because I've seen it and I've visualised the moment when it's on a bookshelf in an airport and Logan walks in and he sees it. It's just made me emotional. Says, that's my daddy. So, focus practice, you can create neural pathways that lead you anywhere. But when you truly learn to reprogram your mind, stop telling yourself the stories about why it's different for you, why your parents let you down, whose fault it is, why you are the way you are, why it is just the way it is, whose fault it is. Blame, complain, justify, moan. Fuck that. Create your dreams. Go to the Amazon online shop of your dreams, order them, focus on becoming the person who you need to become to get them, and fucking go after them. And make sure that you're around people, places, environments, whether it's visual, whether it's online, whether it's anything else. I've just realised my laptop's there and it's probably in the view of this podcast, but hey ho, never mind. And Cam's saying, no, it's not. Do you think I'm stupid, Lee? I just suddenly thought my laptop's really close. There you go. What did I do there? Got distracted. But when you learn to truly reprogram your mind, to only focus on the life that you want, you only feel shit because you're focusing on shit. It's all to do with changing your focus. When you're visualizing on your dreams, when you're filtering out the distractions, when you're tuning down, you will become a true warrior. And that's what I'll teach you within Mindset Mastery. Guys, this is also science-backed. This isn't some ranty lad from Worksop just spitting bars about stuff that's not real, okay? This is scientifically backed. Research shows people who meditate, people who learn to focus on what matters most, people who spend time around the right people, and people who choose to relentlessly focus on what matters without distraction, achieve what they want and live happy lives. You can program yourself to be anything you want. You just need to start working on it. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. I've run over as always, but I just want to say again, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for giving me your time. If you'd like to learn more on what we do within Mindset Mastery, drop me a message on Instagram, Lee Freeman UK _ or Mindset Mastery with Lee. You can send me an email, lee@freemanfitness.co.uk. or find a way to contact me. There are many ways. I'm far too easily accessible. Guys, I love you all. Have the best day.